Correspondent Garrett Hake joins us now. Garrett, to start, what are we learning about what happened in this meeting?
Well, the bottom line, Clay, is that there wasn't much progress here. The Danish foreign minister, for his part, described the meeting as frank but productive. In Washington speak, that means it was probably pretty candid and not very friendly in tone. You've got essentially an intractable White House position here that they believe they need to own Greenland outright to be successful. The Danes say they're not selling, Greenlanders don't want it, and the most they could agree to today was to continue discussions at a high level. Here was the Danish foreign minister in the last hour explaining what happened today.
There's clearly a disagreement. We agreed that it makes sense to try to sit down on a high level to explore whether there is possibilities to accommodate the concerns of the president, while we at the same time respect the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark.
Accommodating those concerns could be improving access to military bases on the island, or essentially improving the U.S. security situation vis-a-vis the Arctic, but it's not clear that anything less than outright ownership of Greenland will satisfy President Trump, who's speaking about this issue even now.
And Garrett, earlier today, the Trump administration announced the launch of a transitional Palestinian committee to govern the enclave. We also heard from Special Envoy Steve Witkoff about a second phase of the ceasefire. What more should we know about those two things in Gaza?
Yeah, believe it or not, this is the hard part of the Gaza ceasefire, which was so difficult to get to in the first place. Phase one of what this Gaza peace plan hammered out by the Trump administration with Israel and Hamas was the ceasefire part of it, the returning of hostages or their remains to their families back in Israel. Phase two is setting up governance, creating a technocratic government in Gaza that does not include Hamas, that Hamas needs to be credibly disarmed, that the Strip needs to be demilitarized. Here you've got Steve Witkoff, the president's point man on the region, out in front saying phase two is starting now. I'll be watching closely to see what steps Israel and, more importantly, what steps Hamas actually take in this moment. They were kind of less keen to get to this new phase, let's say, than was the administration, who very much wanted to move towards a more lasting peace in Gaza.
Garrett Hake reporting from the White House. Thank you.
Republicans on the House Oversight Committee are moving to hold former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress. She did not appear for a scheduled deposition today as part of the committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. It comes one day after the committee also said it plans to hold former President Bill Clinton in contempt after he skipped his scheduled deposition yesterday. Tuesday, in a letter to the committee's chair, the Clintons wrote that their congressional subpoenas were legally invalid. Joining us now is NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona. Melanie, why do the Clintons claim the subpoenas are invalid, and could they face criminal charges for failing to appear?
Yeah, so the Clintons say that these subpoenas are invalid because they don't have a legislative purpose and because they also do not seek pertinent information. And allies close to Hillary Clinton have especially raised questions about why she is a relevant witness, given that she was not named in the Epstein files and that she didn't have a role in government during the time of the initial plea deal that was given to Jeffrey Epstein. But there's at least one Democrat who is siding with Republicans in calling for the Clintons to come testify before the committee, and that's Ro Khanna. Take a listen to what he had to say.
He should appear. I do believe that he shouldn't be the only one who appears. That the first person who should appear is Pam Bondi, and we should be getting the documents. But he should appear. I have always said that this needs to be transparent. Everyone involved should be providing an explanation. And I have conducted this in a way that doesn't single out Republicans or Democrats.
Now, as far as criminal charges, that is entirely up to the Department of Justice. But if they do decide to prosecute this case, that could mean jail or fines for both the Clintons.
And Melanie, while I have you, can I ask about an incident that happened yesterday related to Jeffrey Epstein in a way? A protester appeared to confront President Trump over the probe of Jeffrey Epstein. During his tour of a Ford factory, the president responded appearing to flip them off. What is the White House saying about what all happened there?
Yeah, so this, as you said, happened at an event yesterday at a Ford factory. It appeared that one of the workers yelled at the president, expressing some disappointment over the Epstein files. And then Trump responded with some profanity of his own and also flipped off with his middle finger that protester. And the White House is not disputing that account, with Stephen Chung, the White House communications director, saying in a statement, a lunatic was wildly screaming expletives in a complete fit of rage. And the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. Meanwhile, some of the Epstein survivors wrote a letter to the DOJ's Inspector General office. They say they're concerned with the slow pace of the Epstein files being released. They're also concerned how heavily redacted some of those files have been. So they are now requesting additional review and oversight of those files being released.
Mel Zanona, thanks. We'll be right back.
Still dealing